Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Path of the Prophets. So here we are tonight in Cairo, on the banks of the Nile River. This massive metro area of 21 million plus in Egypt, Misr, Kemet, the Black Land. So one of the things that's interesting about the Nile is that in ancient commentaries of the Bible, of the book of Genesis, the Nile is thought to have been one of the rivers in paradise. Because in Genesis of the Bible, it mentions 4 different rivers that went through paradise. And then in the commentaries, people would try to figure out, well, what were those 4 rivers? Assuming that paradise is actually here within this world, but veiled. You know, because we're told that when our ancestors were exiled from the garden for sinning, that there was an angel with a flaming sword that was put at its entrance, or maybe it was multiple angels put with flaming swords to prevent us from re-entering, or at least from re-entering until we were ready. That we had to go through a process, perhaps. So these 4 rivers, we have some of the commentaries suggested that it was the Tigris River, the Euphrates River, the Nile, and then perhaps either the Indus or maybe the Ganga Yamuna. So this is like, I've now been to the Ganga Yamuna, the Indus, the Tigris, the Euphrates, and finally here on the Nile. Does that mean that I believe that this is one of the rivers of paradise, or that it's connected to paradise somehow? Yes and no. We'll discuss that a little bit more later, but I don't literally believe that it's truth. Like, so for instance, the Nile here, I don't believe that it's in paradise currently, or at least the way we perceive paradise. But it's very interesting when you go to these rivers and you think about what is our relationship with rivers. Humans, we always live on rivers or on shorelines. Like I'd read somewhere that there's 17 countries in the world without rivers. And those 17, the human population is always on the coastline of the ocean. But every other country in the world, most of the human population, we live along rivers. In China, along the Yangtze, along the Yellow River. In India, along the Ganga, the Yamuna, you know, the Brahmaputra. In Pakistan, along the Indus. You know, in Turkey, Iraq, Syria, along the Tigris and the Euphrates. So rivers are very important to us since ancient times. They also symbolize our journey. And our journey from the garden through civilization, the development of riding, of wheeled vehicles, you know, of building structures, developing educational systems. So rivers are very important to our human development. So let's think about that a little bit more in the future. Obviously the Nile is key to that. Riding systems, religious, spiritual development, foods. Think about bread. You know, many bread development took place not just in the Tigris Euphrates, but also here in the Nile Valley, as well as riding, as well as you know, beer making. You know, the ancient Egyptians drank beer. That's quite interesting, and so they developed that. That's not for us as Muslims, but it's interesting to know about the full course of human evolution and development as we move toward maturation. And I would argue that in a spiritual mature state, we return to the garden, inshallah. So this is an interesting way of conceptualizing it. So the Nile, let's think about how it connects from the garden, through civilization, through the apocalypse, and leading us back to the garden time. So let's give this some thought. Until next time, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.